Hey y'all, my name is Michelle Gillespie. I am the owner of Little Shrimp Mosaics here in Fairhope, Alabama, down on Mobile Bay. And I make stained glass mosaics. I've been making them for about 20 years and I am not a professional by any means. I probably do it wrong, I don't know, but I like the way I do it. I keep it simple, and I thought I'd come on here and kind of give a little tutorial, I guess. So there's probably going to be a sequence of videos. This is just going to be a starter one today, showing you the tools that I use that you may want to grab to use for when you get started. So the main tool that you are going to need that I love is this tile nipper. I think that's what it's called. I'm going to show you how to use that in just a minute. You're going to need a glass cutter like this. It has oil in it. It's got a little blade. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to show you how to use that. And then you're going to need these tile. Maybe these are the tile nippers. I'm not sure if those are the cutters. These are nippers. I don't know. Anyway, this is, and you're going to see it's got a little line right up there. All three of these things you can get at Hobby Lobby. If you don't have a Hobby Lobby near you, you can get them online. So what you're going to do with these tools is, also your glass. You can get sheets of color glass at Hobby Lobby as well. If you don't want to get those at Hobby Lobby, you can order them online. There are a ton of stained glass dealers. Just find one that's close to you. Hopefully you have one near you so you can go to the store and not have to have it shipped to you, because it's kind of pricey to have it shipped. At Hobby Lobby, they sell them in 12 by 12 inch sheets. This one I've already cut down a little bit. But for this, what you're gonna do is, let's see if I can show you on here. You're gonna I hold mine like a pencil. There's other ones that have a thicker, like a handle grip that you can get. I just like this one because it's like a pencil. And you're gonna press down. If you're just wanting to do a straight line, you're just gonna press down. And they usually make this really cool noise, but for some reason on this white glass, it doesn't. Could be that I need more oil in my cutter, I don't know. Again, like I said, I'm not a professional. I'm just showing you how I do it to keep it simple. And then you're gonna, I don't know if you can see it, but there's gonna be a line on there where it's gonna be like right in there, where I pressed my blade on it. And you're gonna line that line up with that line at the top right there. And let's hope this works. And you're just gonna squeeze it. And look at that, super cool. Breaks right on the line that you cut it on. Now, with these tools right here, this is just gonna be for cutting like that. You're just cutting the little pieces off, and you can cut as tiny as you need. Again, today is just a basics. We'll get into all of this more when we start working on the piece together. I use a lot of tiny pieces sometimes like super, super tiny. So I have a pair of tweezers, because when I keep all my little pieces in here, and when I have to use a piece like that tiny, can you see that? I use my tweezers. I got these at the Dollar Tree. They don't have to be anything fancy. For your mosaic, when you're putting it down on your frame, I used to use old frames, 5x7, 8x10, whatever size you want. I use old frames that I find. I like to stick with wood frames just because they're easier when you go to put the hanging pieces on the back. They just drill in easier. So again, we'll get into that when we start making one. But you're gonna have a pattern that you're gonna use, and you're gonna want something for your glass to stick on top of the other glass. And so I use this clear liquid nails. It's just a clear adhesive. You can use whatever you want. I like this because it's not like a super glue permanent. So if I have to pick up a piece, I have to move it, I can do that easily. It just holds it long enough to where it'll stay until I get ready to grout it. Now, that stuff right there, I can only find it at my local Walmart. I can't find it anywhere else. If you can't find that, again, just use a clear adhesive that's kind of a rubbery texture, I guess, if that makes sense. You don't want anything like super glue. You could probably use E6, is it E6000, E2000? I think it's E6000. That's a little stronger. You could use that as well. I think that's what I first started with 20 years ago when I was making this stuff. So I think that's it for now. Those are the tools mainly that you need to get. Remember the nipper, clippers, whatever's, tile nippers, your glass tile cutter, your Dollar Tree tweezers, your liquid nails, and your glass, of course. But you can wait on that till we get ready to make a piece, so that way you know what colors and all of that you want. I think that's it. So you guys stay tuned, go get all your supplies, and we'll make something soon. Today we're gonna get started, and I'm gonna show you how I just use basic frames, 4x6, 5x7, 8x10, whatever size. I'm actually working on an 11x14 right now, but we're gonna keep it simple. We're gonna start out with a 4x6, and I'm gonna show you how I put my frame together. Okay, so we have a basic 4x6 frame here with the back on. I'm gonna take the back off. Right here, take all the pieces out, take the glass out, and I'm gonna use my liquid nails like I used for everything. And we're just gonna put I'm running out. I need to get more, squeeze it down. This is real life, people. Okay, and then you're gonna put a thin bead all the way around the inside, like this. Okay, just like that. Does not have to be neat. Mine is always messy. And then I'm just gonna take my piece of glass, press it down in there, just kind of squeeze it out a little bit because you want to get that glue all over the inside of your glass like that, all around the inside of the line, just so you can keep it steady, and this will hold your glass in your frame. Now, you probably need to let that dry for at least a couple of hours. Usually I'll do it the night before I'm getting ready to get started. But with the magic of internet, just kidding, I had 2 frames just like that. So I've already got this one sealed and it's ready. See, I can push on it. And push, 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 and it's not coming out. Okay, so now we're gonna get our pattern ready and attach it to our frame. This is the pattern that I'm going to use. It is just this little pelican. Like I said, I live down here on Mobile Bay. We have a ton of pelicans, and this is just a basic shadow outline, and this is what we're gonna use. You can use any pattern you want. You can go online, go on Google. That's what I do. I get all my pictures or pictures that somebody sent me. I'll use that, but this is the pattern that we're gonna use. So I don't know if you can maybe take a screenshot of that. I will try to attach it as well, but that's what we're gonna do. So then we're just gonna get another super fancy tool, Scotch tape. I'm just gonna attach it to the back of our frame. You just wanna get it lined up where it's, on there straight. And then I'm just gonna flip him over, tape him on. Super easy. Just like that. And now he's ready to go. Okay, and again, this is just a basic 2-color mosaic. That's all we're gonna start with. So I have my glass. You can use whatever color you want. Down here we have the most amazing sunsets. You can say that you do, but until you've come down here on Mobile Bay, you need to come see it. So we have beautiful orange skies. So I think that's what I am going to do. It's gonna be kind of hard to tell this orange, but it's a really pretty, it's got look at that. So I just need one little, probably about small strip like that. And so I'm gonna take my glass cutter, like I showed you guys the other day, and we're gonna run, let's see if you can see, we're gonna press it down and run one line all the way up to the top. Let's see if this will make the noise. This one's not making the noise either. Anyway, once you hear that noise, you're just gonna be hooked because it just makes the coolest noise. Okay, then I'm gonna take these nippers right here, line them up with the line that I just made, and snap it just like that. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna put that one back here, and then we're gonna do the same thing with our white glass, but I have already got that piece ready to go. So this is one I was working on before. I'm just gonna dump this in there. And we're gonna start breaking our white glass. Okay, This is where you're gonna want this bad boy, your tile nippers. These are gonna be your favorite things right here. Okay, and then we're just gonna start breaking off. I like to break pieces about that big to start with, and then you can break them down from there. And I'm really not gonna need many because this is just gonna be for the Pelican. So let's just do, we'll do 3 to start with. Okay, so then you have 3 little pieces like this. And then I'm gonna take those and break those down even smaller. Okay, so we're gonna break these down just so you can see what I mean when I say break these down. This is my fingers, that's like, you know, how small. And then you may just wanna do some pieces like this, and then we'll go from there. Okay, now that I have a bunch of my pieces cut up, we're gonna take our liquid nails, and I just do a little section by little section because you don't want it to dry out before you get it all placed down. So we're gonna get our liquid nails, squeeze it out, and I'm just gonna do the post right now. So you don't wanna get it too gloppy because then it just gets way messy, but just put a thin coat down. Okay, let's go from there. So then I'm just gonna start taking pieces, and this is where it comes together like you're putting together a puzzle. You just wanna stay inside the lines and start placing pieces together. So for you guys who like putting puzzles together, you're gonna go nuts. Okay, so we're just gonna keep doing this until we get this whole thing filled up. Okay, so then we're gonna get to a point where we have some of these tiny little spaces that you wanna fill in, but the pieces that you cut a while ago are probably not gonna be small enough. So we're just gonna put a blob of glue right up here because we can get rid of that later. And then we're gonna take our pieces like this, and we're gonna cut them even smaller. And the beauty of this is that you can cut it into a triangle if that's what you need, or a straight line. Okay, so if you can see, I cut those down even smaller. Look at that, tiny. This is where your tweezers come in. So I'm just gonna take that, dip it in that glue a little bit, and just put that right there. Okay, so let's take this one. We're gonna do the same thing. Make sure it'll fit in there. Okay, and now that we've got that bottom section done, we're gonna come up here and do the exact same thing with the top. And you may have to get your glass and cut some little skinny pieces for the beak and for the leg. Okay, so we're kind of coming to the end here. We're going to do these last pieces together. I've had to trim a few down just to make them fit like that one. And I should have told you, you guys really are supposed to be wearing gloves, but I have tried wearing gloves and doing this before, and my fingers just don't work. So just know, that you are working with glass, and you will probably cut your fingers if you don't use gloves. I poked my finger a while ago and it bled a little, but that's okay. I'm used to it. So just a heads up. Okay, so I'm probably gonna take this and cut this to fit right there. You know how to do that now. If you hear my kids in the background, I apologize. This is real life. And I'm a homeschool mom, so there are usually always children running through my house. I'm just gonna trim that one off a little bit. Make it fit. And see, we used up that spot of glue right there. Oh, look how he's coming together. Love it. Kind of had a Bob Ross moment right there. Okay, so we just have that one more spot to fill in.
We're gonna go back inside.
And there's my kids yelling in the background. Like I said, people, real life. He totally forgot that I was making a video. So, oh, look how good that fits right there. You're gonna love that when you have a piece that just fits exactly like you want it to. Just like that. Okay, so we've got our Pelican done. See, I told you I was a homeschool mom. See my map back there? Anyway, we have our Pelican done, and I'm gonna leave it up to you to finish your background. So like I said, I'm gonna do orange. You can do whatever color you want. So finish your background. You know how to cut your pieces now. Come back to me next time. We're gonna see what the background looks like, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to grout it. And then we'll have to wait a little bit, and then we'll seal it and do all the back. So work on your background, and we'll see you next time. Welcome back, part 3. Here we go, let's get started. This is gonna be our final stretch of finishing our mosaic together. I made a white pelican, and today I'm gonna finish my orange background, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to grout it and how to seal it, and then how to put the backing on. I'll give you kind of an idea of how much time in between you need to wait, because you don't want to do all of that at the same time. You need to let your grout set up. You need to let your primer finish. You need to do all that before you put the backing on. So I'll show you guys, or tell you guys how to do all of that, but let's get started on the background. Now that we have gotten our background done, here is mine with my orange and my white pelican. I'm just gonna take my pattern off the back, and now we are gonna get ready to grout it. Now, I will just tell you this, some of my mosaics I don't grout. And you'll see what I mean when I start on this one, because usually if you have something that's white like this, it shows a good enough contrast. So I like for the white to stand out against the orange, if that makes sense. So then I would just go ahead and put my sealer over it. But since this is our first one that we're doing together, I'm gonna show you how I grout it. So I have, I was gonna show you my bag of grout, but it's kind of falling apart. So I will find a picture of it and I'm gonna post it right here. I'll just show you what it is. I use it's called, Polyfill, I think is what it's called. It's a sanded grout. It's a bag about this big. You can get it at any hardware store pretty much. I think I got mine at Lowe's, but it's just a sanded grout. And I use a super fancy pink, because of course pink's my favorite, and it has glitter, plastic spoon, whatever. And then for a 4x6 like this, you don't need much. I mean, maybe about 2 scoops like this of your grout. And then we're just gonna put a little bit of water in. I just kind of do this to make it just kind of like a thick pancake batter, I guess. I would turn my water on really lightly, and I'm just gonna let it drip in there and stir it up as it's going, and I'll show you the consistency that I want. I want it kind of thick, but it's kind of loud. But if you can see that, it's just kind of like a thick, yeah, pancake batter. All right, so then we're just gonna take our grout and just plop it on. Okay, now this is where I was telling you you're probably gonna want gloves, but I use gloves for so many years and they just get in my way. So just be prepared that if you're not gonna use gloves, you may get cut. But just take your time. You don't want to go too fast because you want to make sure you get it in all of the cracks and crevices. And you're just going to smooth it out. I just smooth it out with my finger, just like this. Again, if you have one that you think looks just fine without the filling in like this, like the grout, don't grout it. It's your art. You do it however you want to. Like I said, I probably would not have grouted this one just because I like the way that it stood out. But I wanted to show you guys how to do it, just in case you didn't make the same mosaic that I did and you wanted to grout it. So yes, you're gonna have more than what you need on here, but we'll scoop that up in just a minute. So you wanna make sure you get every little crease, crack, whatever. And you don't want to press down too hard when you're doing this because especially when you're like right here along the wood, you don't want to scratch up your frame. So just do it really lightly. Okay, then I'm going to take my super fancy grout tool, scoop up the excess and just dump it back in. Go back around, make sure you have all your corners, make sure you're not seeing any holes, any spaces. Okay. All right, now that we've got that filled, we're gonna let this sit for maybe about 30 minutes. And then we're gonna wipe off the excess. You don't wanna forget about this because if you do forget about this and you walk away for hours, it's gonna dry and all of this excess on here is gonna be a pain in the rear to come off. So you wanna give it about 30 minutes and then we're gonna come in and I'll show you with the paper towel and we're just gonna wipe that excess off. Okay, so now it's been sitting for about 30 minutes. We're just gonna get a paper towel because it's still pretty wet. You can see that, it hasn't dried all the way. So now we're just gonna do real lightly. Just do like this, and I've got this over a trash can. I'm just gonna wipe it off. And the part that's on the frame, just real gently wipe that off because like I said before, you don't want it to scratch your frame. Because the sanded grout will scratch it, okay? If you don't get it all right now, that's fine. Once it dries completely, then we'll come back and clean it off. But this is just to get that excess off the top so it doesn't sit and get hard. Okay, and once we get all this off, we're gonna let this sit for at least a few hours because you wanna make sure that the grout has dried all the way before you put the seal on it. So if you want to let it sit overnight, that's even better. But I would say let it sit for at least a few hours so you know that it is completely dry. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, so now that we've let it set and completely dry, I let mine dry overnight. Like I said, you don't have to, but you can. At least just let it, 3 or 4 hours to get the grout good and dry. So now I'm just gonna take, this is just a, it's an old rag that I use. I think it's actually an old bird cloth maybe. I don't know. Just anything that you don't care getting messed up. Something soft cloth. You know, if you have just an old wash rag or something like that. We're gonna take it and just real soft clean off the rest of that loose grout. Kind of get up in your corners like this. And all that excess grout. Until you see that glass shining again. Okay. And I know my frame is a little messy, but that's okay. Clean him up when we get done. Okay. So I think he looks pretty good, huh? Good and shiny. All right. So now we're gonna put the sealer on. Okay, this is the sealer that I use. It's just a polyacrylic paint, clear gloss. I guess you wouldn't call that a paint, but just a top coat, clear crystal top coat. And I like clear gloss because it makes it shiny. You don't really want to use a semi-gloss because, you know, it'll kind of give it that flatter look, I guess. But this will seal the glass in and the grout and all of that. So let's get to sealing. Okay, I'm just gonna get a good bit on there on my brush. And you don't want to leave a really thick coat on here because then it'll just, it'll dry too thick and then it'll crackle and you'll have lots of little pieces. So you wanna get a good coverage all over, but just have it kind of thinned out too, so. If you get a little bit on your frame, that's okay. We're gonna go back around and wipe it off. You just wanna get all the way to the edge so that your grout won't flake as well. And make sure you get all the way in the corners. Okay, so let's just go back and take off any of that excess. Just gonna kind of wipe my brush off. All right, and once we get this finished, just like the grout, we need to let it set. This dries a whole lot quicker than the grout does, but you still want to give it a couple hours just to make sure it's good and dry before we get it cleaned up. I'm just going to go back and wipe those edges. Okay, we're gonna let her dry now. Okay, so my sealer has dried. So I'm gonna take my mosaic and around just this part's like around the bottom where the grout got on the frame. I got a wet paper towel and I'm gonna just clean that off. He turned out super cute. I love it. Okay, so now we're gonna put the backing on, okay? So what I use is, for ones like this where I'm gonna put the wire on the back, I'll use let's see, these wood screws, Phillips head, 6 by 1/2 inch. I'll just show you. This is what I use. Steel wood screws. These are about little bitty, okay? So then we're just gonna screw those into the back. I'll show you that. And then I use picture hanging wire, and I think this is about 20 or 30 pound gauge. You can get this at your hardware store, Walmart, wherever. So I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna attach all of this. Okay, you're probably gonna wanna measure it. I just kinda eyeball it. But I'm gonna put my screw right up here, just a little bit below the frame. Screw that in. And I'm gonna take my other one, do the same thing. About the same height down. Okay. Then I'll get my wire. Find the end of my wire. Here we go. Okay. And then I'm just gonna do a piece about this long. Super technical with my measurements, right? Okay. And then I'm just gonna wrap that around, bring him underneath, and then just twist. Now this wire can be kind of sharp on the edges, so this is why I can never get a manicure, because I always mess up my nails. What I also will do is I have a little piece of sandpaper, and there's no more sand on it, but I'll do this so that way I can just twist him around. Okay, I'll do the same thing on the other side. Twist underneath like that, and then just twist him around. I don't want to leave any of that poking out. Get that again. There we go. And then I'm gonna finish screwing these in. And there he is, just like that. So your backing is now ready. Okay, you did it. You made your first mosaic. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of you. I hope some of you guys, or I hope all of you guys, will go on to, I don't know how to respond to videos on YouTube, but maybe you can. And if not, then go to my Facebook page or my Instagram page. Send me pictures of what you made. I cannot wait to see them all. If you did a pelican like this one or something else, I cannot wait to see it. So proud of you. This was so much fun. Let's do another one.